Good afternoon, everybody. I wish I could speak such chaste Hindi. Unfortunately, I cannot, so I'll be speaking in English. It's an apology from an Indian who hopes to be a Bharati at some point of time. My area of talk is actually it's inverting this entire discussion of today. We talked about economizing or rather creating an economy out of culture. My question is slightly different. What is Indian economy? What is Bharatiya Artha Shastra? And that, if you understand, that is addressing maybe the ultimate objective that India has is to be a Vishwaguru. Because we need to understand that we are fundamentally different than the world. And maybe that is a wisdom that the world needs to know today. And maybe that is a wisdom that is the only wisdom that can save this world. So, I'll start with something very simple. I'm sure all of you have Google Translate. So, there's a word called aparigraha. Can you translate it in English? So, if you look at Indian words, Indian wisdom is stored in words and they are translated in English, and those English translations are horrible. So, I'll give you another very, very simple example. Everybody knows what is a sannyasi, isn't it? What is a sannyasi? Sannyasi is somebody who has renounced the world, who has renounced the society, isn't he? He has left the society. Is it the definition of sannyasi? Then who are sannyasis? We are sannyasis. And the Indian sannyasi is the only one who has actually accepted humanity. He trusts humanity completely. How can you be a sannyasi? You can be a sannyasi by giving up ownership, isn't it? How can you live in this world without owning things? Only when you trust humanity. Only when you trust the society around you. So we are sannyasis, we are the Western sannyasis, and the sannyasis that India had were the real people who trusted society. And if you look at the ashrams that India has created, the last ashram is sannyas ashram. And that is not the ashram when you leave the world. That is the ashram to understand that ownership is a fake idea. The way India conceives death, the way India conceives your continuation as a being part of a large system, that is what is very important. That is the kind of economy that we need. So what is the economy that India has? India has an economy where people did not have the desperation to own things. People understood the trusteeship. People understood the continuity. So there are English words that actually bother me. I always have this very strange question, which I have taught at some of the best academies of India. And I always ask people, what is the translation of knowledge? The English word knowledge. What is the translation of it in Sanskrit? The Sanskrit translation of knowledge is not gyan. It is agyan. It is avidya. What does Western society teach you? Western society teaches you to differentiate. It teaches you to be separate. It teaches you that this is a chair, this is a table, this is a thing. And that is with the purpose of owning things. What does our society teach you? What does Advaita teach you? Advaita says that this differentiation that you are seeing is an illusion. That is the Maya. Again, Maya can't be translated into illusion, but it will take me another 30 minutes to talk about it, so I will not go there. But this is the beauty of Indian culture. Now, how does it translate in the modern context? Modern context, obviously, we want to progress. We want to become one of the developed economies. We want to be at the top of the world. But there is something happening simultaneously around us. I would say there is another French word called Renaissance, which is translated as the dawn of civilization, which is actually the darkest night. It initiated the darkest night on this planet, and those 200 years of night needs to end. And that can end only when the Indic understanding of the universe, Indic understanding of the connectivity, that needs to come up. Our education needs to make us understand that we are part of the whole. What Western education makes us understand is that we are separate. We need to protect our interests. We need to own things. Today we have people who have more money than if you look at the enormity of numbers, the universe has existed for barely 15 billion years. And there's people sitting in America who could have made $1 every second that universe has existed. Can you imagine the absurdity of the idea that we have created around us because of this false narration of West? Now, with that in mind, where do we head? Because yes, this is extremely philosophical. I often feel that India was an extremely high-end scientific culture, and barbarians came and destroyed it, and they did not understand the science behind what was happening. but now the barbarians own the world. And if you want to come back, we have to rise back to the level where people listen to us. People understand that we are a civilization that is the one to learn from. We'll have to play the game by their terms. It's not going to be, say, historically Indians have been very, I think the word that British use is that we are very fatalist society. We accept. We believe that, okay, things go wrong, because we understand that is part of the idea of karma that we have. But obviously that is not really working in the way that we are able to put back our thoughts in the world forum. So I believe that this cultural economy, it's like an onion. So this is one layer that we'll have to address now. India needs to start expressing the cultural qualities it has in the language that the world understands. And the world understands the language of money. This is not the space age, this is not the age of computers, this is the age of money. The driving force that everything on this planet is following is money. So if we can believe that we have to be part of this ecosystem, we'll have to accept that we have to talk the language of the world. We have to walk the walk, talk the talk, ensure that there is attraction with the world in the way that people can understand it. See, the planet needs saving. But do you think the planet is going to be saved if there is no money to be made in saving the planet? No. The planet will be only saved when there is money to be made in saving the planet. That is the way we have arrived at a point in the civilization that we have no choice. So I believe that what we first need to identify is the core Indian ideas and then productize them or push them in front of the world in the way that the world understands. I was very surprised to hear what this gentleman said just a few minutes back, because one of the apps that I'm helping somebody develop is on spirituality, and it is working on the quantification of spiritual intelligence in the Indian method. That the world's most popular meditation app is made by somebody abroad. Now, how can it be possible? Because you can't expect those civilizations to understand, because there is no cultural continuity. Unfortunately for us also the cultural continuity is disrupted. But if that cultural continuity is lost and we are not able to convert it, a huge heritage of knowledge is going to be lost. So I believe that there is a huge onus on people who are working on this limited space of at least reclaiming the cultural continuity and then bringing the cultural ideas back into the fore so that the world can start accepting it. So I strongly feel that these discussions really need to go forward. Bharat needs to be marketed. Bharat needs to be taken out to the world. And we need not worry about falling in the same trap that Western civilization has fallen, because there is something very deeply ingrained in our DNA that we will never be as bad. Even the worst of what our civilization has been able to produce at the peak of its power has never harmed the world. And the worst that waste could produce very quickly reached a point that it could destroy the world. So we don't need the moral doubt. We need to have this understanding that we have something to give to the world. And if the world takes it if the world takes a bitter pill with a sugar coat, it is what is required to be done. So I believe that this looks like one of the minor areas of Indian economy, but maybe this is the biggest area of Indian economy that needs to be taken forward. Now I'll close this with one very simple example which I have pursued it, and I realized that how cultural economy can be created out of an Indian or other Bharatiya concept. So I believe that we all know that Jains have a parampara called Santharo, which is Sanlekhna, where there is a way of dying. There is a spiritual way of exiting this planet. Now, if I ask everybody who has grey hair in this room, what are we most scared of? How will we die? It's a horrible situation. The world has created a scenario where we are uncomfortable because we have no bearing. We are lost. We are kind of, we can't confront the death because we don't have cultural continuity. What happened? What is the Western answer to it? Belgium and Switzerland started euthanasia tourism. They realized that what is the part that is bothering people? There is pain, so we'll take care of pain, we'll give them an injection, give them an exit. But is that the exit that the world wants? Is that the exit humans want? No, humans want a spiritual exit. Just imagine a Santhara-based tourism facility, which is not a euthanasia tourism facility. It allows you to visit India, to go through a very spiritual process to exit. So every Indian concept is actually a way of life. And there is a very strange understanding that exists amongst these young people that science is solving problems. Science is not solving problem because science does not bother about living. The Western science has no desire, no concept of what would it mean to a living human being. Indic philosophies have the primary objective of giving people a way of life. We don't need to resolve this universe. We all need to live on this planet, and that is why everything that we have is actually offering something that the modern society desperately needs, provided that it is translated into a medium that is what offers, that looks like a solution to people. So with that, I think I'll close this my narration, but I believe that there is a massive opportunity here, not just because we need to make money. There's a massive opportunity here because this planet needs to be saved, humanity needs to be saved. We don't need industry 4.0, we need market 2.0, which understands that we are here on this planet together to live. And that is what Bharat offers, and I believe that that is what our cultural economic conclave should lead to. Thank you.